Welcome back for another deep dive. We're going to be tackling a topic that's pretty relevant, I think, for anyone who considers themselves an expert or relies on expert advice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's all about how the role of the expert is changing, especially with the rise of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And to guide our exploration, we've got an excerpt from a Korean academic paper.
Okay.
The title translates to The Role of Experts in the Age of AI, Curation and Problem Definition.
Interesting.
And one of the things that I found really fascinating is that the author argues that even experts are feeling the pressure from AI.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And they need to adapt in ways that you might not expect.
It's true.
It's not just about learning the latest software or anything like that.
Right.
We're talking about a fundamental shift in what it means to be an expert
Yeah.
in the first place. And actually, the paper kicks off by referencing this idea of the death of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So for those who haven't, it's a concept explored in Tom Nichols' 2017 book of the same name. And it essentially argues that with the internet and easy access to information, the traditional idea of who's an expert and why we should trust them has been seriously challenged.
It's really made things interesting.
It really has.
Really makes you think.
Yeah, it makes you think. Like back in the day, being an expert was often about having access to information that most people didn't.
Right.
Or, years of specialized study.
You had to go to the library.
Exactly. You had to go to the library. You had to do the research. But now, so much knowledge is readily available online.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can find research papers, opinions, online courses on almost any topic.
Exactly.
And this has led to, I think, a pretty significant power shift.
Definitely.
Consumers now have more say than ever before.
Yeah.
Which means experts can't just rest on their laurels and their degrees anymore.
Yeah. Oh.
They have to actively demonstrate their value to you if they want to be heard.
They have to earn your trust.
Exactly. So it's like instead of saying, trust me, I'm a doctor, you have to show people why they should trust you. You have to bring something unique to the table.
Absolutely.
And the paper actually uses a really interesting example from the business world
to
illustrate this.
Okay.
They talk about how market power has shifted from producers to consumers.
Interesting.
So it used to be that companies could dictate what products and technologies they wanted to develop. But now it's the consumers who are calling the shots.
Yeah.
It's their acceptance of new products and technologies that directly influences where companies invest their money.
Interesting. So the tables have turned.
Yeah, the tables have turned. Now it's up to the experts to convince you, the consumer, that their knowledge and skills are worth your time and attention.
Okay.
So we've got this situation where traditional expertise is being challenged.
Right.
Consumer expectations are changing.
Yeah.
And then AI enters the scene. And it's not just any AI. We're talking about the kind of AI that can write articles, compose music, even generate art.
I mean, it's really changing things.
It is.
Do you remember Brynjolfsson and McAfee's Second Machine Age?
Ah, yes.
That book basically argued that we're entering an era where machines are capable of doing things that we thought only humans could do.
Right. And they were right.
They were right.
That book was published back in 2014. Even then, it was clear that computers were rapidly evolving to take on tasks that were once considered exclusively human.
Absolutely.
And the pace of development has only accelerated since then, especially with the emergence of generative AI.
It's crazy.
It's almost like science fiction has become reality.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Maybe a little unsettling.
A little bit.
The paper actually mentions this fact.
Okay.
That in 2023 alone, global tech companies like Tesla, Amazon, and PayPal,
big companies,
huge companies, laid off around 400,000 highly paid software engineers.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Because of AI?
Because of AI advancements.
Wow.
It's a stark illustration of how AI is disrupting entire industries.
Yeah.
And it's not just blue-collar jobs that are at risk.
Right.
Even highly skilled workers are being displaced by AI advancements.
That's a bit scary, to be honest.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
It makes you wonder...
where do humans fit in?
Yeah. If AI can do all these things, what does that mean for the future of expertise?
Right.
And that brings us to the central argument of this Korean paper.
Okay.
Experts need to adapt, and quickly. It's not enough to simply be a repository of knowledge anymore.
No.
You can't just deliver information.
Right.
And expect to be seen as an expert.
It's not enough.
So what's the solution? What can experts do to stay relevant in this rapidly changing landscape?
Well, the paper introduces this idea of the expert as a curator.
Okay, hold on. Curator. That sounds a bit like we're talking about museums.
Well, think of it like this. Instead of just presenting raw data or information,
Okay.
the expert's job is to use their knowledge and insights to sift through the mountains of information available.
So they're like information detectives.
Yeah, they have to determine what's valuable and relevant, organize it,
Okay.
and present it in a way that makes sense for their audience.
So instead of just being like a walking encyclopedia,
Right.
the expert needs to become more of a guide or a translator,
Exactly.
helping people navigate this overwhelming sea of information.
It's a really good way to think about it.
Yeah.
The paper actually defines curation as the act of gathering,
Mm-hmm.
selecting, combining, and categorizing high-quality content,
Okay.
imbuing it with special meaning, and recreating its value.
Okay, so with all this talk of AI, are you saying human insight is still important?
I think it's more important than ever.
Okay.
See, even with all the advancements in AI, there's still a critical gap
Between?
between data and understanding.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
Let's take Ritesh Jain, for example.
Okay.
He is the founder of Infinite and the former COO of HSBC.
Okay. Big guy.
Yeah, he predicts a massive explosion of AI-generated data
Okay.
from 79 zettabytes in 2021 to a mind-boggling 181 zettabytes by 2025.
Whoa. 181 zettabytes. I don't even know what that looks like.
It's an astronomical amount of data.
Okay.
To put it in perspective, imagine trying to download all the movies ever made.
Okay.
Now multiply that by 1 million.
Wow.
That's the scale of data we're talking about.
Okay.
And Jane's point is that while companies are rushing to adopt AI, a whopping 47% of them struggle to actually translate those AI insights
Okay.
into real-world action.
So even with all this data, companies still need humans to make sense of it all.
Exactly. They need that human touch, that ability to contextualize information to see the bigger picture and to make sound judgments.
Okay.
And that's where the expert as a curator comes in.
So we've got the expert as a curator sifting through the sea of data and helping us make sense of it all.
Yes.
But the paper doesn't stop there, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It also talks about how the role of the expert needs to shift even further.
That's right.
Okay, now those sound intriguing. I'm all ears.
Instead of just providing solutions, the paper argues that experts should play a crucial role in defining the right problems to solve in the first place.
I guess it makes sense you need to know what you're trying to solve before you can even start thinking about solutions.
Exactly.
But how does that work in practice?
Think about it this way. AI is capable of generating tons of potential solutions,
Okay.
but it doesn't necessarily know which ones are worth pursuing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a million puzzle pieces, but no picture to guide you.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Okay, good.
So the expert steps in and acts as a compass,
Yes,
pointing everyone in the right direction.
exactly. They help to define the scope of the problem, identify the key challenges, and set clear goals.
Okay.
And once potential solutions are on the table, whether generated by AI or other means, it's the expert's job to validate them.
So they're like quality control for ideas.
Precisely. They assess the feasibility of the solutions, their potential impact, and their alignment with the overall goals.
Okay.
They help to ensure that we're not just chasing shiny objects,
Yeah.
but are actually focusing on solutions that have real-world value.
It's almost like being a judge on one of those invention shows, right?
Yeah,
You have to sift through all the crazy ideas and figure out which ones actually have potential.
exactly.
I like it.
And to illustrate this new problem-solving process, the paper includes a really interesting visual.
What's it look like?
It's a diagram that highlights the interplay between human experts and AI.
Okay.
It shows this shift in focus from experts just providing answers to actually guiding the entire process from defining the problem to validating the solution. You can almost see the partnership forming between humans and machines.
That's really helpful to visualize the shift.
Yeah.
But the paper doesn't stop there, does it?
Nope.
It also talks about the importance of collaboration.
It does. The paper argues that even the most brilliant experts need to become part of true teams.
Okay.
It's no longer enough to be a lone wolf genius working in isolation.
So you're saying teamwork makes the dream work even for experts.
Exactly. The paper emphasizes that collaboration is essential for tackling the increasingly complex problems we face. In the age of AI, it's about bringing together diverse perspectives, skills, and experiences to generate more innovative and effective solutions.
It's kind of like building a superhero team. Each member has their own unique strengths, and together they're unstoppable.
I like that. And they actually use a really interesting example to illustrate this point about teamwork.
Okay.
The paper describes the development of a national AI strategy for South Korea.
Okay.
Apparently, a lot of different opinions were presented during the process, but the paper then raises this thought-provoking question. Was it truly a team approach?
So just because you have different people in a room, that doesn't necessarily mean you're working as a true team. Right. It makes you wonder if simply gathering diverse viewpoints is enough, especially in a world where AI can generate an endless stream of ideas.
Right. How you make sure everyone is working together effectively, that there's a real synergy happening.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I guess that's something we'll have to explore further.
Absolutely. It raises some really interesting questions about how to foster true collaboration and harness the collective intelligence of both human experts and AI.
Yeah.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating stuff, and I think this is a good point for us to maybe take a little break.
Okay.
And we'll come back and we'll delve a little bit deeper into some of these concepts.
Sounds good.
So stay with us. Okay, so we've talked about experts becoming curators, problem definers, and collaborators in this new age of AI. But towards the end of the last part, you mentioned this idea of contextual intelligence as something we should be thinking about. And I'm really curious to dig into that a little more.
Yeah, it's definitely a key takeaway from the paper.
And it relates directly to how we can thrive in this rapidly changing world where AI is becoming so prominent.
It sounds kind of like a superpower.
Kind of.
But what exactly does contextual intelligence mean?
Yeah.
The paper doesn't really give a clear definition, does it?
You're right. It's not explicitly defined, but we can get a good understanding from the context of the paper.
Okay.
One of the things the authors do is they contrast contextual intelligence with what AI is currently capable of.
Okay, let's do some comparing and contrasting then.
Okay.
What's the difference?
Well, even the most advanced AI, like generative AI, is really good at pattern recognition and information processing. It can churn through massive amounts of data and spit out, creative text formats, translate languages, even write different kinds of creative content.
Right. AI can do those things incredibly well, much faster than any human could.
Yeah, absolutely.
But is that all there is to intelligence?
That's the question, isn't it?
Right.
And that's where contextual intelligence comes in. It's about understanding the nuances of specific situations.
Okay.
The context, as the name suggests.
So it's not just about having information.
Right.
It's about knowing how to apply that information in different situations.
Exactly. It's about seeing the bigger picture, understanding how things are interconnected, and being able to adapt your approach based on the specific circumstances you're dealing with.
That sounds like a pretty important skill for anyone, not just experts.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, the world is constantly changing and we're bombarded with information all the time.
All the time.
You have to be able to filter through all that noise.
Right.
And figure out what's actually important.
Exactly. In a world overflowing with information and rapidly changing circumstances, contextual intelligence is no longer a luxury.
Right.
It's a necessity.
Yeah.
We all need to develop this skill if we want to navigate effectively.
Okay. I'm sold. Contextual intelligence is the superpower we all need. But how do we actually get it? Is there like a secret formula or something?
Unfortunately, there's no easy button for developing contextual intelligence.
Yeah.
But the paper does offer some valuable insights into how we can cultivate it.
Let's hear them. Give me the cheat codes.
First and foremost, the paper emphasizes the importance of critical thinking.
Okay.
It's not enough to just passively absorb information.
Right.
You have to actively engage with it, question assumptions, analyze it from multiple perspectives, and evaluate its credibility. Yeah. Especially in today's world where anyone can publish anything online.
That's so true. It's like the Wild West out there on the internet.
It really is.
You can't just believe everything you read. You have to be a savvy information detective.
Exactly. And critical thinking goes hand in hand with another key element of contextual intelligence, a broad knowledge base.
Okay.
The more you know about different fields and disciplines, the better equipped you are to connect the dots, see patterns, and understand the implications of information.
So it's about being curious, being a lifelong learner, and not limiting yourself to just one area of expertise.
Yeah, like you might be an expert in podcasting.
Right.
But it wouldn't hurt to learn a little bit about history, science, or even art.
Yeah, okay.
It's about recognizing that knowledge is interconnected. What you learn in one area can often inform your understanding of another.
Okay.
That helps you see things in a more holistic way.
I'm already thinking about all the books I need to add to my reading list.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's not just about reading books, is it? The paper also talked about the importance of experience.
You're right. Contextual intelligence isn't just theoretical.
Yeah.
It's developed through real-world application.
Okay.
It's about getting out there, doing things, experimenting, making mistakes, and learning from those experiences.
Okay.
That's how you refine your judgment and build your contextual intelligence.
So it's like learning to ride a bike.
Yeah.
You can read all the books you want about how to do it, but you won't actually master it until you get on the bike and start pedaling.
That's a great analogy. And it highlights another important point.
What's that?
Contextual intelligence is not something you develop overnight.
Right.
It's an ongoing process, a journey of continuous learning and growth.
Okay, so we've got critical thinking, a broad knowledge base, and real-world experience. Anything else we should be thinking about when it comes to cultivating contextual intelligence?
The paper also highlights the value of interacting with people from diverse backgrounds and perspectives.
Right.
It's about stepping outside of your echo chamber and exposing yourself to different ways of thinking.
So it's not just about what you know, it's also about who you know.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
Surrounding yourself with people who are different from you can challenge your assumptions, help you see things from new angles, and ultimately make you a more well-rounded and insightful individual.
It's like that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room,
Right.
then you're in the wrong room.
Exactly.
You need to be constantly learning and growing from the people around you.
And that ties back to what we were talking about earlier regarding collaboration.
Right.
Working with others, especially those from diverse backgrounds, can be a powerful way to develop your contextual intelligence.
It's like having a bunch of different lenses to view the world through. Each person brings their own unique perspective, and together you get a much richer and more complete picture.
Precisely. And that's what's so exciting about this idea of contextual intelligence.
Okay.
It's not just about becoming a better expert in your field.
Right.
It's about becoming a more adaptable, more insightful, and more effective human being.
It's about becoming a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
Equipped to navigate the complexities of an increasingly AI-driven world.
Exactly. And as the paper suggests, it's about becoming an active participant in shaping that world. Not just a passive consumer of information.
Okay, so we've made a pretty compelling case for the importance of contextual intelligence.
I think so.
But I'm curious, does the paper mention any limitations to this approach?
It's a good question.
Is it like a cure-all for the challenges we face in the age of AI?
You bring up a good point. The paper does raise some questions about the limits of contextual intelligence.
Okay.
One of the key questions it poses is whether contextual intelligence, even at its highest level, can truly keep pace with the accelerating advancements in AI.
That's a bit of a sobering thought. Are we destined to be outpaced by machines, even when it comes to things like human insight and judgment?
It's a valid concern, and honestly, it's a question we can't definitively answer yet. It's something we need to grapple with as AI continues to evolve at such a rapid pace.
So what can we do? How can we ensure that human intelligence remains relevant and valuable in a world where AI is becoming increasingly powerful?
Well, the paper suggests that one of the most promising avenues is to focus on developing AI systems that complement and enhance human intelligence rather than simply replacing it.
So it's not about humans versus machines.
Right.
It's about humans and machines working together like a dynamic duo.
Exactly. The paper highlights the concept of human-machine collaboration as a key area for future research and development.
Okay.
Instead of seeing AI as a threat, we need to start thinking about how we can use it as a tool to amplify our own capabilities.
That makes a lot of sense. Can you give me an example of what that might look like?
Imagine AI systems that can help us sift through vast amounts of data, identify patterns, and generate potential solutions. But those systems wouldn't make the final decisions. Instead, they would present their findings to human experts, who would then use their judgment and experience to evaluate those solutions, make decisions, and take action.
It's kind of like having an AI research assistant.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to information gathering and analysis.
Right.
But ultimately, it's the human who's in control.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
And this type of collaboration could lead to breakthroughs in various fields, from scientific discovery to business innovation to social problem solving.
Okay, but wouldn't that require a pretty high level of trust between humans and machines?
Yeah.
I mean, are we really ready to hand over that much responsibility to AI?
That's a really important question, and it brings us to another crucial point raised by the paper. ethical considerations.
Okay.
As we develop more advanced AI systems, we need to carefully consider the potential risks and implications.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about how we use it and the values that guide its development.
Exactly. We need to ensure that AI systems are aligned with human values,
Okay.
that they're used for good, and that they don't exacerbate existing inequalities or create new ones.
It's a complex issue.
It is.
And it requires a lot of careful thought and planning.
A lot.
It sounds like we need a whole new set of ethical guidelines for the age of AI, like a digital version of the 10 Commandments or something.
It's not quite that simple. But you're right, we need to have some serious conversations about the ethical implications of AI, and those conversations need to involve everyone, not just technologists.
Right.
We need input from policymakers, ethicists, and the public at large.
So it's a team effort, just like everything else we've been talking about.
Exactly. And it highlights the need for a more holistic approach to AI development.
Okay.
One that takes into account both the potential benefits and the potential risks.
It sounds like we need a whole new breed of experts.
Yeah.
People who are not only technologically savvy, but also ethically aware and committed to using AI for good, like digital superheroes.
I like the way you think. We need individuals who can bridge the gap
Between
the technical and the human,
Okay.
who can understand the nuances of both AI and human intelligence,
Right.
and who can guide the development and deployment of AI in a responsible and beneficial way.
It sounds like a tall order, but hopefully there are people out there who are up to the challenge.
I believe there are, but it's not just about finding those individuals. It's also about equipping them with the tools and resources they need to succeed.
Okay.
And that brings us to another crucial point raised by the paper: the need for education and training.
You're right. If we want to thrive in this new landscape, we need to make sure people are prepared to work alongside AI.
Absolutely.
What kind of education and training do you think we need?
Well, the paper doesn't prescribe a specific curriculum,
Okay.
but it highlights the importance of developing critical thinking skills, fostering creativity, and promoting a lifelong learning mindset.
So it's not just about teaching people how to code or use specific AI tools.
Right.
It's about fostering those broader intellectual capabilities that will allow them to adapt and evolve as AI continues to advance.
Exactly. We need to encourage students to explore the connections between different fields and to develop a holistic understanding of the world.
Okay.
It's about preparing them to be not just users of AI, but also shapers of AI.
It sounds like we need a pretty radical shift in our approach to education.
It might.
We can't just keep doing things the way we've always done them. We need to prepare future generations for a world that's going to look very different from the one we grew up in.
Absolutely. And that requires us to rethink everything from our curriculum to our teaching methods to our assessment strategies.
That's a big task.
It is a big challenge, but it's also an exciting opportunity to reimagine what education can be in the 21st century.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of contextual intelligence, the need for human-machine collaboration, the ethical considerations of AI development, and the role of education in preparing us for this new landscape. It's been a lot to take in.
Yeah, it has.
But I feel like I have a much better understanding of the challenges and opportunities we face in the age of AI.
Me too. And I think it's important to remember that we're still in the early stages of this AI revolution.
Okay.
Things are changing rapidly, and it's impossible to predict exactly what the future holds.
That's both exciting and a little scary at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
But it sounds like we've got a roadmap of sorts.
Okay.
We know the key areas we need to focus on, and we have a sense of the values that should guide our journey.
Exactly. And as we move forward, it's important to remember that we're not alone in this.
Okay.
We're all in this together, and we need to work collaboratively to shape the future of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
Well said. And I think that's a great place to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Agreed. But we're not quite done yet. In the next part, we'll explore some real-world examples of how AI is already being used to amplify human ingenuity and solve complex problems.
I'm looking forward to that. See you in part 3.
Ugh.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the evolving role of experts in the age of AI.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From the challenges to the opportunities, and even delved into that crucial concept of contextual intelligence.
Yeah, and we've emphasized this idea of collaboration.
Right.
Not just between humans, but also between humans and machines.
Yeah.
So now let's shift gears a little bit and get a little more concrete.
Okay.
Let's look at some real-world examples
All
of
right.
how this is all playing out. how AI is already being used to amplify human ingenuity and help us solve some of the world's most pressing problems.
This is pretty exciting stuff.
I love a good real-world example.
Okay, where should we start?
Where should we start? Let's start with healthcare.
Okay.
AI is making incredible strides in areas like diagnostics, drug discovery, and even personalized medicine.
Yeah, healthcare is a great example.
Oh, it is.
I mean, you've probably read about how AI is helping doctors detect diseases like cancer earlier and more accurately than ever before.
Why?
AI algorithms can analyze medical images like X-rays and mammograms with an incredible level of detail.
Right?
They can pick up on subtle patterns that even the most experienced human eye might miss.
It's like having a second set of eyes, but with superhuman vision.
Exactly. And that early detection is so crucial.
It is.
It can be the difference between life and death,
allowing for more timely and effective treatment.
It's amazing to think about how AI is already having such a tangible impact on healthcare.
It is, and it goes beyond diagnostics.
Oh.
AI is also changing the way we discover and develop new drugs.
Really? Tell me more about that.
So traditional drug discovery can be a really slow and expensive process.
Okay.
It can take years, even decades, to bring a new drug to market, but AI is speeding things up dramatically.
Okay.
It helps researchers identify promising drug candidates, simulate clinical trials, and even design personalized therapies based on an individual's unique genetic makeup.
That's incredible. It's like science fiction becoming reality, but switching gears a bit. What about something like climate change?
Yeah.
That's arguably the biggest challenge humanity is facing right now.
Absolutely. And the good news is that AI is emerging as a powerful tool in our fight against climate change.
I'm all ears. How is AI being used in that fight?
Well, AI can help us monitor and predict environmental changes.
Optimize energy consumption, develop renewable energy sources, and even capture and store carbon emissions.
Wow, that's a lot. So AI can help us understand the problem better and come up with solutions.
Precisely. For example, AI-powered sensors and satellites can track deforestation, monitor air quality, and predict extreme weather events. This kind of data is crucial for policymakers and scientists who are working to mitigate the effects of climate change.
And I've heard about smart grids that use AI to balance energy supply and demand. That sounds like a game changer. For making our energy systems more efficient and sustainable.
Exactly. AI is also playing a key role in the development of renewable energy sources, helping us transition to a cleaner energy future.
It's pretty inspiring to see how AI is being applied to such a wide range of challenges.
It is.
Any other examples you want to share?
Let's circle back to education for a second. Remember we talked about the need to reimagine education for the age of AI?
Yes. We need to move beyond rote memorization and cultivate the skills and mindsets that'll be essential in this new world.
And AI can be a powerful catalyst for that transformation. AI-powered learning platforms can personalize education, tailoring the learning experience to each student's individual needs and pace.
It's like having a personal tutor for every student.
That's the idea. And these platforms can provide real-time feedback, identify areas where students are struggling, and adjust the curriculum accordingly.
Yeah, it could be revolutionary for students who learn at different paces or have different learning styles.
Absolutely. And let's not forget about the teachers. AI can help automate administrative tasks, freeing up more time for teachers to focus on what they do best, connecting with students, and fostering a love of learning.
It sounds like AI can be a win-win for both students and teachers.
Exactly. And it's not just about personalized learning. AI can also help us develop new educational tools and resources that foster creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration, all those essential skills we've been talking about.
It's really exciting to think about the possibilities. It feels like we're on the cusp of a major transformation in how we approach education.
I agree. But as with all these advancements, it's crucial that we proceed with caution and keep ethical considerations at the forefront.
You're right. We need to make sure that AI is used in a way that benefits all students, not just a select few.
Exactly. And that requires ongoing dialogue and collaboration between educators, technologists, policymakers, and the community at large.
It's a team effort, just like everything else in this new world we're navigating.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the evolving role of experts in the age of AI, I think it's important to remember a few key things.
Go for it.
First, the rise of AI is undeniably disrupting traditional notions of expertise. But it's also creating new opportunities for those who are willing to adapt and evolve.
It's like we're entering a new era. and the rules of the game are changing. But those who can embrace the change and learn the new rules will thrive.
Second, contextual intelligence is going to be a crucial skill for navigating this new landscape.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the nuances of specific situations, seeing the bigger picture, and being able to adapt your approach accordingly.
It's not just about what you know. It's about how you apply that knowledge in the real world.
And third, the future of expertise is likely to be one of human-machine collaboration.
Okay.
We need to find ways to leverage the strengths of both humans and AI to solve complex problems and create a better world.
It's not about humans versus machines.
Right.
It's about humans and machines working together in a synergistic way.
I think that's a great takeaway. The age of AI is full of uncertainty.
True.
But it's also full of potential.
Yeah, it's a time for curiosity, for experimentation, for pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe we'll even discover some new superpowers along the way.
That's the spirit. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. I hope you found it as insightful and thought-provoking as I did.
Absolutely. And to our listener, thanks for diving deep with us. We hope this has given you some new perspectives on the evolving role of expertise in the age of AI.
Keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep asking questions.
Until next time.